Thanks, Jasmine. Appreciate that. So, guys, I am going to share my screen, and I apologize. I am struggling with my tech today, so I am on one monitor, so I'm doing the best I can do here. Um, so what we should be seeing is my Filevine screen with a project of Lorelai Gilmore, MBA. And so, first of all, in terms of document management in Filevine, um, documents are an extremely robust feature of Filevine, and there is definitely a lot that we can do with those documents. You will find throughout the course of this hour that Peggy has some favorites that we'll probably spend a little bit extra time on. Um, but I will be going through several things when it comes to documents. Obviously, this is all fake data, fake documents that you're looking at, so we're not sharing anything that we shouldn't be. So one of the things that I first want to go through is what I call the document menu. That's not necessarily, that's just what Peggy calls it. So when, and maybe we should back up a little bit though. In all of your projects, you're going to have a document section. Now, sometimes depending on your build, that might be called documents, it might be called docs. It varies as to what it's called, but that is the place where we house the documents. Um, and what you're going to see when you first go into that document section is this view that you have right here. So I have my folders up here. I can access those folders, and we'll be talking about what that bait stamp folder means later. But I can access those folders. But what I can't do is I can't drag and drop anything into those in this view or anything of that nature. To do that, I have to open up my folder navigation view. And so when I do that, you'll see that I'm actually in my discovery folder in the document production folder. So I'm several subfolders within my project. And if I want to manipulate or drag and drop a particular document to another folder, I'm going to do that in this folder navigation view. That is how I have to do that. I cannot do it from the general view. Now that we're back here, I have a particular Word document selected, and there are some things that I want to share with you in terms of how we manage documents in Filevine. So I have the document highlighted. I'm going to start going through some of these different items over here for you. And so some of them are fairly simple, some of them are a little more complex. But moving from this side, the left side of what I call the document menu to the right, first of all, this is just telling us how many documents we have selected. So I can easily select two, and now it's going to tell me that I have two documents selected. But in my case, I have one. This gives you the ability, if you have Projects AI, to do an AI document review. Now, I don't have any documents in this folder that is relative to any of the AI prompts. You can learn more about that if you attend our free help sessions on everything AI in Filevine. So we're going to move past that. So when we get to the next trigger, this is a download. So this is a download of the case management order. And using this, I can download the selected document or documents to my desktop. If I have more than one selected and I choose that download, it's going to ask me if I want to download it as separate files or if I want to download it as a zip file. So I do have the option to download a zip file in Filevine. Moving from that download button, I'm able to preview my document. Now, you will see that I'm already previewing it on the right. This is a thumbnail preview. It's a small preview. If I click on this eyeball, I'm going to be able to open it and see a much larger preview of that document. From here, I can do certain things. I can click on this to edit the document. we're going to edit the document a little bit later, I can print it, I can send it to email, and I can download it just from that preview. This is the button that I would use if I don't need to preview it. I know this is the document that I need to edit. I can click on this edit button, and so when I click on the edit button, it's going to actually open that document up in Word. And now I can go through and make edits. So you'll see here that I have some letters that I'm going to go take out because I want to edit the document and show you some things. So once I've done that, I can save, I can close, however I would normally close out of my Word document. So I'm going to save that Word document. And it's uploading it to Filevine. And now I'm back in my Filevine. You can see that it still shows that that document is locked. If I refresh my browser, that lock will go away because that document has been closed. But the purpose of a lock feature in Filevine is to make sure that we can't have two people in the same document editing at the same time. Because if I were to try to go into this document and it was actually locked, because I have the right permissions, I can unlock it, but most folks would just see a warning that says this document is in use by Peggy Shepard, and they would get a warning that it's locked. Now, because I closed that document, if I give my screen a refresh, that lock went away. So I'm going to come over here. What I want to show you is, if you'll recall, I edited this document. And so now I want to go show you a couple of things. This is one of my favorite things, which is I'm in the document properties over here, and I tend to leave my properties toggled on. You don't have to, that can be closed. But with my toggle properties on, I can come over here, I can do this preview, and then I can also pull up information related to that specific document, right? So I can come in and say, okay, I know where the document's located. I know the size of my document, my upload date, if there's any hashtags on the document. And then also if that document is attached to any notes, which I really like this feature because I can easily see if that document is attached to any notes. Here's one of the things that I get a little bit nerdy about because it's one of my favorite things. And that is how Filevine helps you maintain the version history of your documents. So when I am in this version history, I have my documents that I can see that my very first version was dated March 6th. And then I can see that the document was revised on March 7th. And then again yesterday, and now my most current version is today. Why is that important? It's important to me because having been a paralegal for numerous years, there may be things that we revised in that document that I want to go back to an old version to pull. So maybe we're in the middle of drafting a brief. We decide that we're not going to make a certain argument. We take that argument out. And then later we decide again, you know what, we do want to make that argument. I've already drafted all that. I don't want to have to redraft it. So now I can easily go back into a previous version of the document, pull that information back out and update my current version. Or I can go back to a previous version and say, restore this version. What that's going to do is it's going to make that version now the current document version. So you have a lot of power with the document versioning in Filevine. The other thing I like to point out to folks is this upload new version. So ideally, when you're editing documents in Filevine, you want to make sure that you are online. So when you save, Filevine can save that newest version. But we also know that at times you can find yourself needing to work on a document, but you don't have good internet reception, or you're on a plane and you didn't buy Wi-Fi, or whatever the case may be. You can If you have downloaded that document to your desktop or your laptop, whatever, your computer, you can work on that document. And when you're done with it, when you get back to an internet connection, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come in and use this upload new version. So what I don't want to do is use my upload file and create a new document, because then that's going to break that string of my version history. What I want to do is come in and upload the new version. So when I do that, um, it's going to put that new version right in place. It's going to make it the current version. And then I will continue to be accumulating those document versions. Every time I save that document, it's going to give me a new version. That is one of my favorite things. Um, I can also create links to share the document. So perhaps maybe I want to share this document with opposing counsel or with the client. I can create a share link. Um, I like using this the most with discovery documents. Um, we will get to this in a minute, but one of the things that we can do is not only can we do this with a document, we can also do it with an entire folder structure. And it's going to work the same way. So I can share this document. I can say anybody with the link can have access to this document. And when I do that, it's going to give me the link. I can copy it. I can email it directly from here. But anybody I send that link to, they're going to be able to open the document. Very easy. But what I really like is when I am sharing like a folder for production, and let's close out of this for a minute and go back into our document production folder. So let's say that we're going to share our folder that says date stamp documents. I'm going to go over here in my folder navigation view, and I'm going to indicate that I want to share this entire folder. By doing that, they're going to be able to access every document that is within that folder. And when I'm sharing in this regard, I really want it to be password protected. By doing that, it is a very secure way of sharing documents, even documents with confidential information, with the parties that I send the link to. So I can create a password, and then what I would do is send the folder link to the individual I'm sharing with, and then I can send them that password in a separate email. This is a great way to share document production. It's a great way to share documents with experts and various other things that you need to do. The other thing I want to point out while we're in the folder sharing is we can enable two-way sharing. Now, you do have to have a password enabled to do this, but if I enable two-way sharing before I send this, what that allows is for the other side, whomever I'm sending this link to be able to upload documents into the folder, and those will automatically populate my Filevine folder. So if you have clients that need to provide you with documents, they can do this. I know previously I've worked with opposing counsel that did not have a secure way to send documents. And so in lieu of them sending them just via email, I could give them a two-way share folder for them to upload those documents that they're providing to us. So either with the folder share or with the document share, I am able to, if I move my Zoom menu, I am able to set an expiration date. Um, I can set it for as short as 1 day. I can set it for as many days as I want to. What Filevine does not allow for is for us to make that an indefinite date. There has to be some kind of expiration. And so if you choose custom, you can put in some kind of, crazy date structure or crazy number of days, and I don't know if there's a maximum there. I've put in very large numbers, um, because basically what I'm trying to do is create an unlimited link that doesn't expire, but I have to put in an expiration. In most cases, though, if you are wanting to share something like with opposing counsel, you're probably going to want to put in something like 60 days or 90 days to give them time to access those documents. That is document share. Now, I want to go back over here. You will see that I did create a share link for this document, and that is what this little person's head is there to indicate, that this is shared by a particular, not by a particular person, but that this is being shared with someone outside of your Filevine organization. Going back to our document menu, I am going to, for now, skip over the little, what I call the little snowman, the 3 dots. We're going to go to the next item. So that is creating a new blank document. I can create a new Word document, an Excel workbook, or a PowerPoint presentation directly from Filevine. It is exactly what it says. It is a blank slate, a blank document. It's not a template. It's just a blank document, but I can create one directly from Filevine. One of my next favorite features, and if anybody watched Tip Tuesday yesterday, you'll see that this is what we covered in that little tip. You can bait stamp your documents directly within Filevine. When I was working in Filevine as a paralegal, this is definitely one of the features that I used a lot. So to do that, I'm going to select documents that I want to bait stamp. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to click on that bait stamp button. Now, what if I accidentally meant to grab that 5th document and I forgot to? Do I have to close out, start over? No, I can go grab another document here. So I can grab a document, and I can also upload from my desktop. So if for some reason I have documents that are not in Filevine yet, I can do that by clicking on this upload button, choosing the documents that I need. Once I've done that, one of the other things I can do down here is if I select this document, I can move the order where it's at. So I can change the order of the documents. Once I'm done with that and added all my files, put them in the order that I want, I'm going to click next. And here's where I'm going to, here is where I'm going to identify what I want my bait stamp to be. You will see that originally it just populates with a prefix, number of digits, and a starting page number. But I like to open advanced options. I can indicate to Filevine where I want that baits number to live. It does default to the bottom right. That is where I usually apply my bait stamp, but for this purpose, we're going to change it to middle. It is going to default to applying to all pages. If for some reason you just want the first page to have that applied, we can do that here, but I am going to apply it to all of my pages. I do like to choose increase the margin for the bait stamp. It just gives me a little bit more room, because I also like to make my bait stamp a little bit larger. So I can do that. And now I can come over and put in, if I am the plaintiff, I usually will put PLTF, and then I can say I want 6 digits. And if this is my first document production, I leave starting page blank, or I can put it at 1. But let's say this is a subsequent production, if I can get the word out. And so I want to start at 125. And so if I say start, what's going to happen is it's going to show me that it's processing all of this. Now, one of the things that I think is important and that I really like about this is I don't have to create another copy of my document to keep that original document, the word is escaping me, but all of my original documents will stay in the form that they were in before the bait stamp. And I am going to get a second set of documents that are bait stamped. And apparently I chose this document twice and it's taking a little bit of time. So we're going to let this run for just another minute to finish that bait stamping. To me, this is a much easier functionality than trying to export my documents to Adobe, get them all set up correctly, set up document or bait stamping in Adobe. Everything is right here in my Filevine and normally will work correctly. I'm going to close this and see if it created. So it did create this document folder. Is where all my bait stamp documents live. And there's multiple copies in here because I used this same folder yesterday. But what's going to happen is if I look at these documents that I bait stamped today, I'm going to open one and it's going to show me that the bait stamp is applied in the center like I asked it to. It's got the prefix, it's got the 6 digits, and I asked it to start at 125. So my bait stamping is there. It's on every page. And everything is going to be in that bait stamp folder. So that I can keep all my other documents nice and neat and clean within their original folder structure. That is, in a nutshell, how we bait stamp documents in Filevine. So a very simple process that I find to be very helpful.
And just to note, if you bait stamp those individual documents, as you saw, Peggy opened up one of those items. It doesn't combine them together and then bait stamp them. It bait stamps each individual one based off of how you've added it in.
Yeah, very good call out. Thanks, Jasmine. That being said, the next thing we're going to talk about is how can we combine those documents if we need to. So I'm going to use some of those bait stamp documents as an example. If I want to combine these together, I'm going to go in and select the documents that I want to combine. And I'm going to go over here to my Combine Multiple Docs tool. When I use that, it's going to look very similar to that bait stamping process, right? I've got all my documents here. I can add additional documents from the project if I need to. I can add any documents that are saved on my desktop. I can also add a blank Word document. But I'm going to go with the documents that I have here and I'm going to click Next. And then I'm going to tell it what folder do I want those to be in. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move those up to document production and I'm going to say combine. And so now it's going to combine and we see the status in the bottom left of my screen. It's going to combine all of those documents. And as it's doing that, it looks like it's complete. So I'm going to go over here to document production, and here are my combined documents. So this is, I'm going to open up the preview. This is all of those documents that are now combined. And so now what I want to show you is now that I've combined them, perhaps I want to give them a new name. I can come over here to my little snowman menu and I can go to rename. And maybe I want to now name these documents produced for 1625. So now I can rename those. They're a combined document. And that's how I combine documents in Filevine. Also to note, you can combine PDF and Word documents. They don't all have to be the same file type. Moving back up to our document menu that we're going across. The only two buttons we have left over here is an upload file button. That's how I'm going to upload specific documents. If they're on my desktop, I'm going to click that upload button and I'm going to upload my document into Filevine.
You can also
And
drag
then,
it if it's on your desktop.
correct, you can drag and drop if it's on your desktop. And then this is that toggle button that we've already talked about. We can keep that on or off, however we'd like to have that. Now I'm going to go back to the snowman menu and cover a couple of things that we haven't covered yet. Some of these are simply duplicative of the icons that are in that menu at the top. Obviously, download, preview, those are duplicative. I can choose to email a document directly from here. When I click that, it creates a document that once I open it, it opens up an email with that document attached. If you have Filevine Fax, you can choose to fax this document directly from Filevine. The next thing we have here is a share button. Now, you will see though that this is called guest share. This is different than the share link we have showed you previously. In Filevine, you can invite what we call a guest user. A guest user is invited into a particular project, so they're not invited into your org as a whole. They're invited into a particular project. Typically, that might be co-counsel or a client, somebody that you want to share limited information within that Filevine project. Now, how guest users work and everything you can share is a topic for another day, but the documents themselves, when you invite a guest user into Filevine, you cannot, a guest user can only see documents that they have uploaded to Filevine. If there are documents that you or somebody else on your internal team have put into Filevine that you want the guests to be able to see, you've got to go give them access with this guest share. So I have my documents produced selected. I can go give somebody that we have invited in as a guest access to that document. And now they'll be able to see that document. That's the only way they're going to be able to see it. Those firms that are using VineSign, just like Fax, you can VineSign directly from this particular screen. If I know that this document needs a signature, I can highlight it. I can click on VineSign. It's going to automatically open that document up in VineSign for me to then complete the VineSign and send that out. We've already talked about ShareLink. Note this is another one of my features that I really like. If I'm in my document section, and I just finished working on a document and I want someone to review that, I can go out to the activity feed to make that note, but I don't have to. I can simply have my document highlighted and I can say note this, and I can make an activity note or task right from the document section. So I can say, you know, at Jasmine, please review before I produce, okay? Um, by, by Friday. So I'm attaching this to a task. I'm creating this task, and that document will be attached. So I will show you that activity feed item. So here's that task that it created, and that document is attached. That's how I like to do that when I'm attaching a document so that I know I get the right document attached. If I go back to the document section though, I want to show you in that document. If I highlight that, and I go to my document properties, now it is going to show me again that I have attached that document to a particular note within Filevine. And I happen to make it a task. It doesn't have to be a task. It can be any kind of activity note that I want to attach that document to. I can also move or copy any document to another project within Filevine. So if I want to move this, maybe I want to move it within my project into a different folder, or I want to copy it. So I'm going to copy it into my settlement folder. I can copy that over there. I can also move it if I just totally want it in a different location. Either way is fine. I can also create a new folder here if I want to put it into a new folder. So if I want to say docs produced for 1625, I can do that, and I can say, let's just copy those documents in there. And so now I have copied them into that settlement folder.
And if you have the folder tree open like Peggy does, you can also click and drag documents over there and it'll pop up kind of that same screen. So if you don't want to do the extra click, I know some folks don't like the extra clicks, but if you click and drag,
True.
same menu should
Like
pop.
that.
Yep.
So if you click to drag, but again, just make sure that if you're wanting to do that, you have this navigation view open. Otherwise, you won't be able to do that. Okay, let's go back to here. So I am also able to hashtag my document from this screen. So if I know that there is another hashtag I want to put on this document, I can do that just by applying it here from this document screen. And edit doc, update, we've already talked about those things in the other tools. Most of you will probably not have the ability to remove. That is a special permission. So only certain folks within your Filevine instance will have permission to remove documents. The last thing that I want to talk about today is filtering and searching. Before I do that, I know I've seen several things in the chat. Is there any, Jasmine, have you been looking? Are there questions that we need to answer?
Yeah, you actually already answered the person's question as they were typing it, so we're good.
Great. All right. I love it when that happens. Okay. So sorting my documents or filtering them. I can do several different things here. I can tell Filevine that I want to sort by the most recent. And right now that's going A to Z, which means oldest is at the top, newest is at the bottom. I can reverse that so that I'm seeing the, oh, no, hold on. It would help if Peggy was making more sense. So if I toggle this most recent button, I am pulling, right now the oldest documents are at the top, newest are at the bottom. But if I want to sort them by date, I want the most recent document at the top. I just click on that again, and that toggles that back and forth. So now the most recent is at the top. I can do the same thing if I want to sort the documents by name. So I can sort alphabetically, or I can sort, and of course it puts numbers first, or I can sort in reverse alphabetical order. I also have the option to, instead of a list view, I can do a thumbnail view. Now, right now, excuse me, PDFs will not show up as a thumbnail. Well, this one is. Some of them are not showing up. So I also have a Word document here that's not showing up in the thumbnail view. but you have the ability to look at it in this view versus a list view. I prefer the list view. And then I can also come over here and filter documents. So I can, as we all know, all documents in Filevine are OCR'd. So I can, let me go look at something very quickly. Okay, so I can come over here and I can say, can you show me any documents that have the term Burbank? And I may just have sent it on a search that I didn't want to right now, but you know, we'll just give it a second.
While we wait for that, the documents search at the top is going to be very similar to what Peggy's showing, except for it's going to show you big picture, all of the projects that you have access to. This one that she's doing is obviously just this project documents. And again, they do have to be OCR'd, which you can view in that little properties that Peggy kind of showed a few times.
Yeah, so if you want to know that they're OCR'd, do properties. Well, I don't have a document selected, so let's go to, that may be the problem if I was running that because it may not be OCR'd yet, but there is at the bottom, and when you go into properties, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it's going to show you if OCR was completed on that document. So under file properties, it'll say indexed, how many pages, and whether or not OCR was complete. So if I go here, OCR is complete there too. So what I want to show you is just the fact that because the documents are OCR, you can search within documents. And I'm going to show you this, and then we'll hop over to that main document search that Jasmine was talking about. This is if I'm in a specific project and, you know, maybe it's been around for a long time. I have a lot of documents. I can go in and search within, this is basically a searching within the project, but I can tell it. And because I pulled this from the document section, it only has documents in green. So this is only going to search documents. Now, I have a way that I can go do this search and choose notes, tasks. I can do that from here if I want to, but in this case, I'm just searching documents. And so it's going to search not only the title, but it's also going to search the content of the document. And right now, the speed issue could just be my internet too, with running the Zoom and trying to search. Here we go. So you'll see that obviously I pulled up the complaint, right? It's got complaint in the title and in the document, but it also pulled up my documents produced because within that PDF, it found the word complaint. So I have the ability to do a deep dive search on all of my documents within this project from this document section. Now, I want to go show you though, the main document search. If I'm in this main document search, first of all, it's going to pull up the last documents that have been opened by me. So I like this because if I am seeing this soon, if I am searching, not searching, if I am working on my cases throughout the day, it's likely that I'm working on the same handful of cases in any given day. And if I want to quickly go access a document that I know that I worked on today, if I just click on this document, it's going to show me the top documents I've worked on today across all projects. Granted, all of these are showing up basically in one project, although this one's from March 4th and it's a different project. So these are the most recent documents that I have accessed. However, if I want to do a search, I can do a search just like I showed you before. Actually, not just like that. I lied. Maybe I want to search in specific projects. I can do that here. I can search for specific hashtags. So maybe I want to search for documents that have the hashtag of case management order. I can go down here and I can hit apply, and it's going to bring up across the whole Filevine org any document that has that hashtag. Let's see if production produces any more than CMO does. So if you're using your hashtags, this is a good reason to use them, because then I can go find multiple different documents that have used that hashtag. And obviously, the more specific your hashtags are, the more documents will be drilled down. I'm also going to be able to search by, you know, words in the title. I can search for specific folders. Here's where I want to search for a document that contains a certain word. I'm not sure what documents are in our org, so I'm not sure if it's going to populate. But I can search for many different features within my documents here. I can search for documents that were uploaded after a certain date or before a certain date. If I want documents that were last edited by Zach, I can do that. So a lot of different options in how to find documents without going to a particular project. I do not have anything else to cover. So do we have any questions, or Jasmine, anything you can think of that I missed?
Yeah,
Or
did
Jess?
how to create a new folder in the doc
Sure.
section? For those of you that are not admins, your admins have gone in and created a folder structure in the back end so that with every project that you create, there's going to be a set group of folders. And admins have the ability to kind of go in, add additional items as needed. And then also here in the docs section, if you open up the folder tree, you can click on whichever folder that you'd like to add a folder under. So if you want a subfolder, so this would be a subfolder, right? It's in the medicals under medical records, and then you'll find this one. You'll just click on it and click new folder. If you want it to be like part of your main folder structure, you'll click on the client's project name, and then be able to add in whatever folders that you need.
Right. So very easy to add that subfolder or however many subs that is. But if I want to add just a main level folder, like Jasmine said, I can come over here, click on that project name, say new folder, and create a folder just in that top level. So you have the ability of creating the top level folders and then also drilling down into other items, other levels of folders.
Yeah. And then visually, you can see that some folders are colored in, some are not. That is kind of Filevine's indication to you that there are either folders within that or documents within any of the filled out items. If they're not filled in, they're empty. So that's an indicator to you. And then as far as tags, Peggy mentioned them, right? Utilize your tags. The only auto tags that are going to show up on your documents are ones that are being pushed over from like text messages and emails. They'll have hashtag attachment and then hashtag text message or email, depending on where they came from. Your admins also have the ability to add auto tags and auto folder movement in any of the given sections. So for some of you, right, you may be getting a document via email that corresponds to maybe your medical records. And so you want to attach that to the medical records section. Once you do that, there may be some auto mapping, so it might auto move that document to whatever folder is connected to that upload field. And again, there may be some auto tags that populate with those documents as well. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Any of the documents that you upload in any of the sections will automatically populate in the docs section. So you don't have to worry about resaving them into this section. And then the items that Peggy showed, right? She went through and did the little snowman. I always call it the 3 dots, but I kind of like snowman better. If you click on that, there's a list of actionable items. That same list can be found in the activity feed where Peggy attached that document. So you could do the same, almost identical to what you see here in the docs section in there. And the same thing with any of the sections that you upload these documents in. The actual doc section does have one more item. Peggy, can you open up a document so we can go through the sidebar portion?
Sure.
Thank you. So here in the docs section, you do have one more option in that little snowman menu. It's sidebar. So this is going to attach this document directly to the sidebar. So that way, maybe if you don't want to task somebody because maybe they don't look at their tasks as frequently as they do their sidebar, and you just have a quick question or a quick edit update that needs to be made, you can add whoever you need to chat with. You'll see it automatically attaches the document. When you press, I think it says start, my little Zoom.
Add to sidebar.
My Zoom thing went right up over it.
I know.
So you can type in whatever message. Jess will then be able to see the document that Peggy's referring to through this sidebar. They can talk back and forth, have a conversation. Maybe you all need to discuss before you send it to sidebar. I'm sorry, to the activity feed. So that way you all both have like a game plan there. Whatever you type in here and send, you have the ability to send back into the project. So at the very bottom of sidebar, you can add it as a task, add it as a note, and you can kind of pick and choose which communication items in there that you want attached. So that way it gives folks a better overall. Thanks for responding, Jess. I feel like it's always better when they can see like more than so it's like instant message here in Filevine, but you can attach all of these and the document back into the activity feed if you need to, for whoever else needs to kind of look at it.
Yeah, I would also add, being able to kind of do this sidebar is just another way that we can keep all of our communication within Filevine. And Peggy kind of touched on that with we don't have to have multiple versions of documents. Everything is all in one place. So that's pretty handy. I will also just add, Peggy, if you can close the sidebar. You did touch on this when you mentioned that I think you prefer the list view here, but we do also have this view as well. I know different users prefer different things. And then when you're trying to search a document, you can also click just sorting it by most recent or the name. It's also helpful to different people just viewing in different ways.
And whatever view you all choose is going to be visible to you and you only. So if Peggy's like, I don't need anybody to know I don't like thumbnail view, they won't only. So you don't have to worry about judgment or anything like that, kind of in Filevine in the way that you like to view and look at things. These documents obviously work for anything that you all have uploaded or things that have been sent to you or that you've generated. So DocGen, outlaw documents or FVDA documents are all a part of kind of your document section and can be edited and all of that good stuff, just like Peggy showed. PDFs work just a little bit different as far as editing. Peggy showed you how to go in, edit a Word document, which allows you to open up Microsoft Word, make any edits, and then save in place. For PDFs, the editing is going to be just a little different. Peggy, if you don't mind opening up one of those PDFs so we can just briefly the editing options are for that.
Yeah, somehow I totally like I'm brain dead or something.
No worries. There's so many little things that it's difficult to kind of cover it all, but since we have a little bit of time, it looks you're going to click that pencil icon. And again, instead of it opening up into a whole different software or platform, you'll see it's still in Filevine, and you have some editable items kind of there at the top where you can edit, annotate, redact, all of that good stuff. If you want to like remove full pages, you can do that as well. The little like right here, I don't know what to call that.
Oh yeah.
Peggy showed too. Either way, you have some additional kind of options here where you can, this I think will show you all of your like thumbnails.
The
And
pages.
yep, you can move, kind of do whatever you need to there. So there are quite a few functions here built inside of Filevine that you can use for your PDFs. You'll just want to make sure that you press the save button if you are going to go ahead and edit any PDFs to make sure that your changes actually track and save in Filevine.
Yeah, and to that note, there's several things, as Jasmine said, there's several things we can do with PDFs in Filevine. So when you're going over here, one of the simple things that is important to note, if you're going to go over here to edit a PDF, you kind of have to tell Filevine that you want to edit that PDF more than once. So what I've had a couple of clients that have come to me and said, I can't, like, it's not letting me edit my PDF. So you have to click edit here. And then I also have to click edit here. But then when I go down into a box, I have to click edit again. So make sure that if you're trying to change something, that you are hitting all of those edit buttons. But I do like the ability to edit my PDF documents in Filevine. And then as Jasmine said, okay, I've made that change, so I need to make sure that I hit the save button. Otherwise, I will lose that. I can snip, I can crop. That's just within the editing section. It will allow me to insert different stamps if I need to on the document. So I like this. I can apply those different stamps. I can apply images, signatures. That is something that I think is a great tool within here. Save that. And then just depending on what your needs are, I mean, you can put comments, you can put annotations in your PDF documents. For those of you who work in areas that might need to, you know, draft org charts or things like that, you know, you can always create different things with shapes. I like to point out that you have the ability to measure within this. I think that's handy for real estate firms if you're working on some kind of, you know, draft or map. So that is another feature that you have. And then you can redact. When you redact something in Filevine, you're going to choose the information that you want to redact. And I really want that one highlighted. Hold on, hold on, hold on. So I don't know how to get that big box to go away, but we're just going to pretend like it's not there. Once you redact, it is going to give you a warning. So once I've chosen that, I can come up here and tell it. I can tell it different things, honestly. But once I'm ready to redact, if I can find the right button to do that.
I think maybe if you click
that one. Yeah.
Or redact all is at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Can you tell that I don't redact very often? Sorry, folks. So now that I have selected what I want to redact, and I've got it marked over here, I go down to redact all. It is going to give me a warning that this will permanently remove all items selected for redaction. It cannot be undone. That is very true. However, remember that we talked about the document versioning in Filevine. If I accidentally redact something that I did not want to redact, I cannot change that on this document, but I can go back to the previous version that does not have redactions applied. And I can start over if I need to. So that while this is an extremely important message and people need to understand that this is permanent, I do also like to point out to folks that they can go back to a previous version of that document and the redaction will not be there. There is a lot in this screen. Ladies, anything that you can think of that is something that you guys use or that your clients use on a regular basis with PDFs?
Yeah, so if you can go to this the more options menu, I think something that a lot of people don't know, the optimized PDF option is also good for compressing documents. So sometimes if we're uploading to some sites, they have like size limits. So that's also really helpful, as well as inserting pages from another document. So kind of going back to like file combining and bait stamping, maybe you forgot to add a document. You can always add that document in there and it will pull from the documents you already have in Filevine. Or if you have it saved on your desktop, you also have the ability to go ahead and add it there.
Very good.
Super helpful. Awesome. Any questions? I know we're close to time. I don't see any. While we kind of wait for those, just again, a few things to note. I added in my email and Peggy's email. It's just our first names. Peggy has hers in her title. That's brilliant. It's just our first names at vineskills.com. So you can reach out to us again if you are interested in any of VineSkill services. We handle all things Filevine launch and optimization, meaning for folks that are already in Filevine and want to revamp it, we are here to help. Maybe you didn't get a chance to fully implement all of the bells and whistles that Filevine has, or you just want to kind of change up your workflow and system, we can help with that. We do advanced reporting. We do lead docket, Domo. We kind of run the gamut on all things Filevine. So feel free to reach out to us. We can chat with you. If you're like, we know that we need to do something in Filevine, but we're not sure where to start or what that looks like, we can help with that too. We'll run a free audit for you to kind of give you some guidance on where to start in revamping your Filevine. And as I'm sure most of you know, if you don't, one last tidbit, Peggy, if you could go back into like the actual Filevine page for me. In the upper right-hand corner of any Filevine page that you're in, you'll see this question mark. That will bring up Filevine's Help Center. So if you're having any issues and you're like, hey, this document is OCR'd, but I'm not seeing it in my document search, or hey, this document is not OCRing. I don't know what's going on. I need some help. You're able to go to the Help Center, which is this third option here, chat in live with somebody at Filevine to kind of assist. There's also opportunities for you to share your feedback. So if you're like, I wish that there were more font options for bait stamping or anything like that, you can share your feedback with Filevine. For those of you that have been in Filevine for a while, I'm sure you've noticed that Filevine makes changes constantly to their system. They do utilize your feedback in order to determine kind of what updates that they should make. You all are in the system day to day, so you're kind of the best folks to tell Filevine, hey, we would love this feature. At the very bottom, if you could just click back for me, Peggy, one time. Sorry, back into the question mark.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. There are some updates. So they have beta releases, and then under announcements, you'll find anything new in Filevine. So if they've released any new features, you can kind of go there and see all of the new things that are coming for Filevine. Perfect. I didn't see any questions come in. Thank you all so much, Peggy. Thank you so much for all of your expertise in Docs Plus. Hopefully you all learned something. And Jess, thank you as well for joining and giving some insight as well for our folks. I hope you'll have a good one, and we will see you at a future free help session. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.